Hi, everyone. Welcome to News Dabs. I'm Jimmy Young reporting for the Pro Cannabis Media Group.
I'm Sherri Tutkus reporting for ProCannabisMedia.com.
Hey, you know what? We have quite a few news dabs for you this week, and we start in Washington, D.C., where our federal government continues to address the cannabis movement when they aren't fighting amongst themselves over the impeachment process.
There is a historic hearing planned this week for a House Judiciary committee that will be voting on a bill that could deschedule cannabis federally and set aside a fund to help those most affected by the failed war on drugs. Who will be paying for that fund? You will. There will be another 5% federal tax imposed on the sale of adult use cannabis.
Now, not only that, Sherri, but that fund from the so-called MORE Act, and that stands for Marijuana Opportunity Investment and Expungement Act, would also expunge records for people previously convicted on cannabis offenses. If passed, it would also shield immigrants who've been denied citizenship because of their cannabis use or history.
A recent Pew Research poll from September concludes that now a record 67% of America believes cannabis should be legalized for adult use. That's an increase of 5% since the last poll 6 months ago.
Well, obviously, Sherri, producers like ourselves are getting the word out to the public about the benefits of this plant and its interaction with the endocannabinoid system that is part of the human anatomy.
Last week in Newton, there was an all-star gathering of cannabis medical professionals to talk about the latest gains on cannabis research. I was one of the presenters at the first annual Medical Cannabis Patient Therapies and Wellness Summit. I got to tell my own story, as well as some of the stories of my fellow green nurses. Jay Mulhern was the summit organizer, and he realizes the struggles the existing medical community continues to have in spreading the knowledge on this plant.
But we can't get enough healthcare providers, practitioners involved, and that's really the goal of what we want to accomplish.
What's the biggest issue there? The stigma still? Federal money?
I would say the stigma or the conservatism that is pretty much prevalent in the state of Massachusetts.
But wait a second. Did I just hear you say conservative and Massachusetts in the same sentence?
Yes.
We're not known like that.
Yeah, I know. But I think when it comes to something like this, where it's an alternative medicine versus the traditional medicine, is going to take a little bit more time to pretty much get people acclimated and educated.
On November 20th this week, it will be the first anniversary of adult use sales of cannabis in the Commonwealth. And while the Cannabis Control Commission sales figures are not official, based on an average of $9 million sold per week, Massachusetts will come in just a few million shy of the expected $400 million sold in that first year. Now, the current vaping ban has certainly hurt this market by as much as 25%, so that's a pretty good start for an industry that has generated thousands of dollars in taxes and local fees for the Commonwealth and local towns. Remember, it's a whole new world of weed out there. What else, Green Nurse Sherri?
Use it responsibly.
Absolutely. That'll do it for this week's News Dabs. Here's a few cannabis-friendly events over the next few weeks in the greater Boston area. News Dabs is a weekly production of the Pro Cannabis Media Group. It is supported by Alternative Compassion Services in Bridgewater, Massachusetts. ACS is a leading provider of medicinal cannabis at 693 Elm Street in Bridgewater.